The real reason a WWE star was fired? A beast-level WWE return imminent. And Luke's review of Monday Night Raw. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News, where, in place of our usual opening sting, we wanted to pay tribute to a very, very special man instead. Jinder Mahal did not finish his story to become a two-time world champion in WWE on the 15th of January episode of Raw, and unfortunately that's not the only bad news coming out of that match. As PW Torch is reporting, Seth Rollins suffered a legitimate injury to his left leg late in his Raw main event. Multiple sources apparently told the site that Seth was helped to the back and will be evaluated further to determine how severe the injury is. In a promising sign, Rollins was eventually able to walk on his own, but with a definite limp. Wrestling Observer Radio add that he's set to undergo an MRI to determine how serious it is. Being a fighting champion is a risky strategy, which is why Roman Reigns has the smartest title defense approach. You can't beat me if I'm never here. Reigns will defend his UU Championship against Randy Orton, LA Knight and AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble Premium Live event. And you better make the most of it, because he's not going to be around much afterwards. It's already been reported Roman won't be at February's Elimination Chamber show in Australia, scuppering rumours that Rock vs Reigns would take place on that event instead of WrestleMania. And now Wrestling Observer Radio claims the Tribal Chief won't be at May's Backlash in France either. Instead, Roman's upcoming PLE schedule is the Rumble, WrestleMania, a Summer Saudi Arabia show, and SummerSlam, meaning 4 pay-per-views in the next 8 months. Usually I'd say that's a heavy indicator Cody Rhodes is beating Reigns for the title at WrestleMania, but that's not how it went last year. But sometimes when you've got enough part-timers, it can almost make one full wrestler. In a very tantalizing one-sentence report in F4W Online's daily update, Dave Meltzer has written, Brock Lesnar will be back on WWE television soon. This will be Lesnar's first WWE appearance since putting over Cody at August SummerSlam. Given the time of year, it's very likely Brock will be setting up a match for WrestleMania. Maybe this is totally not connected, but let a guy dream. Gunther declared for the Royal Rumble match on last night's Raw. Make my 3-count prediction come true, Papa Trips. They both eliminate each other to start their feud. Now it's time for our hottest news segment. Times Matt Riddle didn't win stuff, according to Matt Riddle. After claiming he was supposed to win the 2022 Royal Rumble until Brock Lesnar refused to do business backstage, Riddle has appeared on the Kurt Angle Show and has singled out UFC President Dana White as a definite reason he was released by WWE. I think that the UFC-WWE merger didn't really help things. Me and Dana White don't have the greatest relationship, and I know he's a big part of that. It definitely played a part. Riddle announced his departure from WWE on the 22nd of December, just 1 week after the WWE and UFC merged into the new super company TKO. Riddle had previously worked for White as an MMA fighter before he became a pro wrestler, where, despite his charisma and win record, he was released in 2013 after failing 2 drug tests. At the time, White said in an interview it's because Riddle was a moron. Riddle went on to tell Angle that he suspected other reasons for his WWE release too, like the $1 million he was going to make that year, being an easy target for budget cuts, and how his own behaviour didn't help, like getting into an altercation with police at JFK Airport that same month. Before Luke reviews Monday Night Raw, here's a special message from Turbo Jack, handsome guy.
I know, Jolene, I'm so lonely now, after December, and not seeing you. Is there any way we can give another shot? Oh, hi there! Hi! I'm 80s Wrestler Turbo Jack, and I'm doing fine! And the reason I'm doing fine is because WrestleTalk kinda pays me a monthly subscription fee to read out these Patreon shoutouts. You can get your own shout-out by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you'll get loads of exclusive content too. So thank you. The roller coaster, Robert Coaster. Black Plague, Butch Russell, Champion Zero Fear, Hitman Soul, The Cleaner, Kenny Sharp, the British Bulldog, Philip Boy J. Smith Jr., he can last Sean for longer than you in the ring, Starbucks, Stephen Costa, and the Shield Maiden, Azor Nice. Remember, patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Please don't leave me!
Now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka that Jinder match was way better than anyone expected edition of Monday Night Raw in about 5 or so minutes. The show opened with Cody Rhodes talking about that old story he wants to finish, and out came Drew McIntyre to talk about a story of his own. You see, he and Cody are the same. They were both fired from WWE, they both made themselves bigger stars outside of WWE, and then WWE came crawling back to them. They were even tag champs together in WWE. Not only that, but Drew's last match before he went back to WWE was against Cody Rhodes. Cody, however, feels like he and Drew aren't as alike as Drew thinks. While Cody relishes his second chances, Drew complains about his. And this line turned Drew back into that different Drew, that bitter Drew who is pissed off about Jey Uso and Damian Priest and CM Punk, and he even noted that Cody worked with Punk recently and knows how toxic he is. But there's Drew again, Cody replied, blaming others rather than himself. And guess what? That last match between Drew and Cody before Drew went back to WWE, guess who won? It wasn't Drew. This was a great opening promo segment to build the Rumble and point out that this year's match has a lot of potential winners. The closer we get, the less likely it feels that Cody is going to win and finish his story, and instead, maybe he'll face Drew. Or we can look at last week and say that it will be Cody and the Mania match will be Punk versus Drew. It's really fun to fantasy book the possibilities, which is what the Rumble should be about. DIY beat the Judgment Day B team of JD McDonough and Tom Mysterio. Still no sign of that Nick Mysterio. Maybe he's at the Performance Center with Jade Cargill. It was a match that was broadly fine until the final third, which really picked up. It was also a good example of Triple H's booking philosophy. If you put people on TV enough and give them credible wins, the crowds will eventually get behind them. Maybe those wins and losses do mean something after all. Speaking of which, The Way beat Chelsea Green and Piper Niven in a short match to set them up as potential contenders to the women's tag title. They even got a video package to put them over. Nia Jax got a similar video package to build her Rumble chances. Gunther came out to announce himself for the Royal Rumble, and Xavier Woods challenged Ludwig Kaiser to a match to avenge Kofi Kingston for last week. It was a pretty heated match in ring and ended in a DQ when Woods hit Kaiser with the same chair that Ludwig used last week on Kofi. Kaiser tried to beat up Woods the same way he did Kingston last week, but a bloody mouth Woods stood tall and sent Ludwig running scared. This was very good. Later, Kaiser attacked Woods backstage and he was saved by Jey Uso. Bronson Reed cut a promo seemingly on Gunther for that IC title, and we got Akira Tozawa taking on Ivar. This was a very entertaining comedy match where Ivar dominated, but then Maxine distracted him by being sexy, and Tozawa used said distraction to hit a sunset flip powerbomb for the shock win. Ivar and Valhalla then killed them with headbutts and doomsaults. So who's the real winner? It's Tozawa. Tozawa is the winner. He won the match. Ivy Nile will face Valhalla next week, and Chad Gable will take on Ivar. They've been pushing hard that Nia Jax is next in line for a title match with Rhea Ripley, which certainly sets her up for a Rumble win, but there's also a lot of chatter on the blue side of things that Bayley could get the win for SmackDown. But let's also not forget there's the possibility of Becky 2 times. Rhea came out for a promo on Jax, but Lynch was the one to interrupt instead. She noted that she and Rhea are the best to do this in WWE, but she's got this niggling worry in the back of her mind that Rhea Ripley is better than her. So the way to disprove these worries is to win the Rumble, choose Rhea for Mania, and then beat Rhea at Mania. And Rhea was quite excited about this notion and hoped that it would happen. Like the Cody and Drew segment earlier in the night, this highlights just how good Trips has been in creating multiple avenues of winners for this year's Rumble. I honestly cannot wait. The Judgment Day of Finn Balor and Damian Priest beat the Awesome Truth in a pretty entertaining match. Throughout the night, Truth was putting himself over with how much money he's making for the Judgment Day with his new bit of merchandise, and even came out with them for the match despite the fact he was on the other team. He then kept hitting Finn with moves and felt bad about it, and Priest seemed reluctant to take Truth out as he finds his comedy shtick endearing. until he didn't and hit him with South of Evans for the win. This was all good stuff. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark quickly beat Tegan Nox and Natalya, and then we got our main event as Jinder looked to get unhindered by taking on world champion Seth Rollins. I think it's fair to say there was a lot of chatter about this match in the week, whether that was Tony Khan's Twitter meltdown or just the overall question of why is Jinder getting a shot at the world title when he hasn't won anything in ages, which is basically the subject of Khan's Twitter meltdown. I had my own reservations. I noted on last week's WrestleTalk news that this isn't really a feud for Seth Rollins, more just something for him to do because all the other main event stars are in Rumble build mode. And while I do think this match would have benefited from heating Jinder up a little bit, giving him some wins on TV to build crowd heat of the possibility of him actually winning the world title, I do think overall this worked. At least the final third worked. The first 2/3 of this 13-minute match were exceptionally boring and all the worst parts of Jinder's time as WWE Champion 7 years ago, and the lack of crowd reaction for Jinder's offense reflected that. But once all the shenanigans began, business did pick up. Indus attacked Seth behind the referee's back for a near fall. The referee was distracted by Drew McIntyre brawling with Damian Priest at ringside, who himself teased a cash-in. And there was a superb near fall as Indus hit Seth with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Jinder hit the Colossus for a 2.9 kickout. Seth then hit the stomp for the win, and this accomplished what it set out to do. 70% of it may have been dull, but that final 30% did make up for it. And it capped off a really good edition of Monday Night Raw, which made me super excited for the Royal Rumble. This week's Raw is 4 out of 5. Speaking of the Rumble, Ollie Davis and myself gave predictions for the WWE roster in this year's Royal Rumble in 3 words or less / fewer.